Theodore. He's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do.
Hello. I was just dusting off my old harbor master's diploma. I got this when I finished harbor master school. Oh yes, we harbor masters have to go to school to learn how to run a big harbor like this. Excuse me. It's not easy being in charge of the big harbor. I have to know when ships can come in, where they can stay, when they can leave. And there's all this special equipment that I have to know how to use. Like my special whistle. You know, just between you and me, when I first started to work here, I wasn't sure I was ready to be the harbor master. I just didn't think I knew enough. Did I ever tell you the time that Theodore didn't think that he knew enough? Now, that's a good story for today. Rebecca, where are you going? Called Theodore. Rebecca, the research vessel, was leaving her home at the Oceanic Institute. I'm going outside the harbor to look at an iceberg, replied Rebecca. An iceberg, repeated Theodore. But it's summer. Well, sometimes water pushes icebergs from way, way up north, explained Rebecca. Well, Theodore smiled. Rebecca always knew so many things about the ocean. Watch this. And then Rebecca lowered one of her special orange floats into the water. Theodore watched Rebecca's float move away in the water. Do you see how my float is moving? Asked Rebecca. It is, said Theodore. But we're still staying still. Right, said Rebecca. The water is pushing my float. They had reached Bedford, the bellboy who lives near the entrance to the harbor. That meant it was time for Rebecca to head out on the ocean. Rebecca, how do you find your way around out there at night? Asked Theodore. Well, I like to use the stars, replied Rebecca. If you ever need to find the big harbor at night, just follow the stars. And with that, Rebecca whistled to say goodbye to Theodore. Goodbye, Rebecca. See you soon. Fascinating. Oh, amazing. Wonderful. Rebecca was floating along, examining the great iceberg that was bigger than a building. She used her float to see how fast the water was moving. Now, Rebecca knew that icebergs can be dangerous, but she really wanted to get a better look at the frozen fortress. So she floated around to the other side. The iceberg creaked and groaned and moaned and made the strangest sounds all around her as it melted in the summer sun. Slowly, she floated closer. She had hit a piece of the iceberg. And then Rebecca heard a huge sound. Right away, she knew what had happened. The water had pushed a huge piece of the iceberg right behind her. Rebecca couldn't go forward. And she couldn't back up. She was trapped by the giant iceberg. There was nothing she could do about it. Back in the big harbor, Theodore had just finished work. He hurried off to find all about the iceberg from Rebecca. That's strange, he thought. Rebecca said she'd be back by now. Well, this is strange, said the dispatcher after Theodore told him. Rebecca always returns on time. Do you think something happened? Yes, the dispatcher said, turning to Theodore. Theodore, you will have to go. Go where? Theodore, just to be safe, I would like you to look for Rebecca. Even if you have to go outside the harbor. Yes, sir, said Theodore, sounding very serious. But inside he wondered, what if Rebecca is outside the harbor? I don't think I'll know what to do out there. I've been this far before, Theodore told himself as the big harbor grew smaller and smaller behind him. By now, Theodore was close to Blandford Buoy, who lives out where the calm waters of the harbor end and the wide open ocean begins. Blandford, called Theodore, have you seen Rebecca? Can't say I have, Theodore, replied Blandford. Now Theodore was really starting to worry. I hope she's all right, he said. Theodore couldn't see Rebecca, so he decided to turn off his engine and listen. There didn't seem to be anything out there but endless ocean. Theodore knew he should turn back. Rebecca could be anywhere, he said to himself. And I don't know anything about being out there. I guess I'll go home, he said sadly to Blandford. Blandford? Blandford, you moved. Did no such a thing, replied Blandford. You moved. But I turned off my engine, said Theodore, surprised. And then he had a thought. Theodore lowered one of his special marker buoys into the water. He wanted to see if the water would push it away, just like Rebecca had said. Look at that. It is moving away, he said. Maybe that's the same way the iceberg was pushed here. And maybe the water will push me to Rebecca. Theodore knew there was only one way to find out. He turned off his engine and waited to see where the current would take him. Help! Cried Rebecca. But she knew no one would ever hear her, way out on the ocean, trapped in the middle of an iceberg. She kept trying to squirm free. But then something awful happened. All her moving around made the iceberg begin to crack even more. The giant iceberg sounded like it was beginning to break apart, and if it did, it could come crashing down right on her. By now, the water had pushed Theodore further and further from the harbor, and further out on the ocean. He couldn't even hear Blandford's bell anymore. The sun was beginning to set. Soon it would be dark, and Theodore knew he had to turn back. Oh, Rebecca, he cried. Where are you? What's that? There, just ahead. Something gigantic floating on the water. The iceberg, breathed Theodore, though he could barely speak. The ice mountain sparkled like a great diamond in the sunset. As he floated closer, he could hear creaking and groaning and almost a moaning sound from the iceberg. He couldn't see Rebecca anywhere. And Rebecca couldn't see Theodore. I have to go home, Theodore told himself. He was just turning to go when he spied something out of the corner of his eye. That's Rebecca's float. Theodore slowly moved around to the other side of the iceberg. And sure enough, there was Rebecca. Rebecca! Rebecca, it's me, Theodore! Theodore, stay away, cried Rebecca. The iceberg is breaking apart. Well, Theodore just couldn't leave his friend there. He tried to push the giant block of ice that was trapping Rebecca. Oh, I'm not heavy enough to push this big piece of ice. Oh, how will I ever save Rebecca? All that pushing caused great chunks of ice to fall right in front of him. Theodore stared at the heavy chunks of ice. There might be one way to save Rebecca, he thought. Theodore hauled some of the heavy chunks of ice up onto his deck. Soon, he was so heavy, filled up with that ice, that the water was almost up to his bumpers. The ice was making terrible creaking sounds all around Rebecca. It was now or never. He revved his engine, made his toughest tugging face, and roared straight into the ice. Push hard, he told himself. It was working. Sure enough, all the ice on Theodore's deck made him heavy enough to push the ice away. Now, Rebecca, cried Theodore, back up. Rebecca backed up just as fast as she could. The frozen water bubbled all around as the enormous blocks of ice bobbed in the ocean. And then, all was still again, still and silent. Theodore, said Rebecca at last, I don't know how you did it, but thank you. Theodore was silent for a moment. You know, he said at last, I didn't think I knew how to do it. But you did, said Rebecca. You saved me. Yes, smiled Theodore. I guess I did. Theodore and Rebecca set off for home in the gathering dark. Would you like me to lead the way home? Asked Rebecca. Oh, I think I know how to get there now, answered Theodore. All we have to do is follow the stars. And that's just what they did, all the way home. Yes, I didn't think that I knew enough about being a harbor master when I first came here. Well, the same way that Theodore didn't think that he knew enough about being out on the ocean. But I think we've both done pretty well, don't you? Thanks for visiting us here in the Big Harbor. We'll see you all again next time. So long. Oh, no, where's my special whistle? I knew that.